I think a lot of Nigerians their reality has not been triggered that the kind of government we've been married to for a very long time is not normal. Yeah. This is not normal. No. And what art can do is to shift your sense from that place where the abnormal feels okay to where the abnormal is now weird and even unacceptable. So art is definitely important, and it can come in various ways.
If you say, I want Nigeria to be better, and we don't join stuff like what they have, roundtable conversations when they're trying to create a bill, you are not part of it. We can't keep talking about this and not getting involved with it. So if we want this change that we want, people need to start getting involved.
This season of the Unamplified podcast is supported by the Open Society Foundations.
Africa is a continent of rhythm. There's rhythm in everything we do, be it during our joyful celebrations, even in occasions of loss. Music and dance are part of our culture, our everyday lives. We use our instruments to express ourselves, whatever we're feeling within. Our instrument gives us the right moves, and we move in rhythm. And so when it comes to democracy, why are we gradually being groomed to believe that it's all about the polls, that the only rhythm that matters is the rhythm of the ballots? There is rhythm in the streets when we show up to make demands for what matters. There is the rhythm of the artists who leverage their art to raise and inspire civic consciousness. There is the rhythm of the journalists who use their words, their pen, their stories to inform the people. There is the rhythm of the young developer who is using civic tech to create platforms for citizens to engage and demand accountability. There is rhythm in our everyday demand for dignity. There is rhythm in everything we do. And so on this episode of the Unamplified podcast, we're going to be discussing rhythm and rhymes, how citizens show up. And it's a call to every young one listening, those who have learned to use their instrument, that we no longer need to wait for permission to participate. My name is Cynthia Mbamali, your host. Welcome to the Unamplified podcast. I'm not alone. I'm with my co-host, Quincy Y.
Welcome, amplifiers, on this episode of the Unamplified podcast. My name is Quincy Y. And on this episode, I have one question for you. How will you show up? And joining us to discuss this episode are two brilliant guests. We have Meiro Ibrahim. Yes. She is the founder of Tunani Initiative, a policy researcher, and someone who cares deeply about Nigeria's democratic progress. And we have Hope Abba, a multidisciplinary creative who fuses music, fashion, and strategic problem solving to build impactful experiences. She is also part of the Now We Art for Democracy project, team supported by the Open Society Foundation. Welcome, both of you, to the Unamplified podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, it's amazing to have two powerful women. I think I met both of you last year, different occasions.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope you were part of the Art for Democracy initiative of Young Africa, supported by the Open Society Foundation, and you're part of the Now We project team. We'll talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
And Meiro, I met you at an event.
I think Dr. Colley's birthday, and I was all over you. It's like major farms in, but yeah.
Oh wow, thank you. Now see me blushing. I don't know how to feel. This is not what it feels like to be a celebrity. I did not know, but thank you. No, but you do amazing work. I've been following your work since then. And I know beyond leading your organization, I've seen you on different panels, and I also see you were part of those, vying for the leadership council of the Youth Democratic
Network.
Network. Yes. And we'll talk a bit about that. And so, today's conversation is both a challenge, it's both a challenge and a celebration. One, we're celebrating young people who are already learning to use their instruments to engage democratic processes differently. But it's also a challenge asking people, how would you show up? How should we show up in our democracy? So I'll begin with a general question. Where was the first time, or what activity, what did you do at one point in your life that you didn't know it was civic action? But maybe you got older and you realized, oh, that was me being civically active. Yeah. Can you remember, if you think back, what was that one thing? Or it could be more than one that you did that you didn't know at the time that this was you being taking civic action, and then subsequently you realized that was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can start with you, Miro.
For me, I'm sure I was less than 10. I grew up not doing a lot of house chores, but when that floodgate opened, it opened hard because I was the only girl in our household. So they put me on kitchen duty, for holidays where we didn't have anyone helping us. So, and what that meant was kitchen duty is from morning till night. And I thought about it. I said, this is not right. Why does my work never end in this household? You know, my brothers, they get to sweep and forget about it. I don't until everybody eats. And so that was my first act of protest. You know, I told my parents that it's not going to work. We are 3 in this household. There's morning, afternoon, evening. If they do not divide the kitchen work like that, then I'm just not going to participate. And
wow,
it was very serious, you know, but I followed through, and I think then, I mean, they didn't agree with me at first. So that's the thing with protest and all of that. You know, when you start a campaign or some sort of advocacy, yes, not everyone will agree with you at first, but I think they really thought about it. And from then on, kitchen duty was shared morning, afternoon, evening on a rotational basis. Wow. So I think that was my very first act of activism.
You actually won an advocacy campaign because
yes,
at the end, I mean, yeah, I love what you said that, you know, with protests, with advocacies, there is no guarantee that the first time you try, you get the response you want or achieve the results you want. And you may not even have everyone on board, but that subsequently, you will achieve what you want.
Especially my brothers, they were not on board.
Because they were going to be those who will be affected.
Exactly.
So the people that hold on to power, anything that they feel will threaten that power or that privilege, they will fight hard against it.
Exactly.
I really love that experience.
Exactly.
Hope, what was it like for you?
I think mine was a bit traumatizing.
Oh, wow.
It was in secondary school, and it was basically bullying for like junior students, and I think I was an SS student, and it just felt very, very cruel to see that SS3 girls who probably just take juniors, let them, you know, keep fanning them till like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Wow. Like manually.
Yeah. And these children were 8 years, 9 years, and it was bad. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a child doing so much. Like, they would have to carry like this 20 kg water. And I was like, nah. It was very hard for me because I would come back from classes, my bed would be soaked with water. They would pour Omo on it because I would like, no, you guys cannot do that. And at a point, it was very bad. They had to move me to like become a room head. I was the first room head in my you know, my set in SS2 to be a room head. And then it was not like,
now you have
finally.
Yeah.
So now by the door, you can't just come in to come and fetch me and Milo from a random just one girl. I won't let it. So it was that, but it was very traumatizing for me because I'll come back and my milk is with Omo. It was bad.
Wait, so these were the responses you got because you were speaking out?
Yes.
So students will actually make your life.
It's really not like me at all. Like, they made my life miserable. I used to cry like I'm thinking about it now, my eyes is teary.
Oh no.
They were literally, it was bad. Yeah, that's how crazy it was, yeah.
Oh, wow. But I mean, that was actually courageous. I know I went to a boarding school also, and I know how when you're in a boarding school, there's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Seniors are seniors, and most times they can do and undo unless you have, I don't know if it's still happening in high school now, but I mean, I went to secondary school a long time ago, and I know then that these guys, they were like lords and kings, sort of. So for you to even be bold enough to even question and challenge them for treating that is your other juniors treating them badly. You must have taken a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Now I understand why your art is a lot civic. So it started from that level. Okay, so now we have two activists. One started from home, one started from from secondary school fighting the juniors. Well, I mean, these are important stories. I think most times what we try to do, we think civic action is something that's out of the world. That what you need to do is to mobilize 1 million people or 1,000 people. We forget that sometimes the simple acts we take in our communities, those are civic actions. I talk about the reading. There are different things, different forms of participation. And I'm hoping that for everyone listening, even the younger ones, if you're a teenager, if you're just turning 18, you're a first time voter, anyone listening, very simple things could be saying no to bullying, like she did. That is civic action, taking action. It could be saying no, not because I'm the girl in the house, I get to do all the work. Let's share this responsibility. Let's ensure accountability as we win share the responsibility. That's also civic action. But thank you for sharing that, Quincy.
I think in my own case, I was really stubborn when I was growing up.
Really? You don't look...
I was really stubborn. Even in my boarding school, I was really stubborn. You don't bully me just like that. You must give me a reason why you should punish me. I was like that.
I love that.
And if you're coming for me, I'll run away. You won't see me. So I think at home, in my family, there was this thing that I have to always cook for my siblings. Even when I started cooking at a very young age, at the age of 8. I started cooking. Yes.
Wow.
My mom wanted to start her college of education, so I was the only one with her. My elder sister, I think she was in Enugu then, and she had to groom me to start cooking early. So when I think the first food I cooked, my elder brother was like, "It's still salty. He was not going to eat." My mom made sure he finished his food and gave him extra. That if he can, if he doesn't want, he should go to the kitchen. But there's this thing she was always doing. When it's time to cook, she wouldn't call anybody, even to clean. Nobody helps me until one day I had it up to here. I did not do anything. She came back. She was just shouting at me. I don't even say a word. Like, I don't say a word. The only thing I said was, if you cannot share this work to everybody, then this thing will remain like this. And that was...
Stand your ground.
And that was when everything changed. She gave everybody their own work.
Yeah.
So if I should make soup, the next person is making eba. The next person is washing plates, even to cleaning the house.
Yeah.
So that was how that one changed. Then in secondary school, I remember there was this rule of junior students. I went to an all-girls school, Catholic school in Abuja here. They said, junior students are not meant to wear earrings. And we went for March Past. I think I participated in March Past, and we all wore earrings now, both junior and senior. In March Past, there was no senior, there was no junior.
Yes.
So we all wore our earrings. And when I just came back, and we came first position, we were still happy, that happiness. Then somebody just came, and now we are now friends, me and the girl. I met her in National Assembly. She works there. She called me now like, you. She was like, Cynthia, remove that earring. I was like, this place. And that day, I was ready for her. I know when... There's this kind of stubbornness that if I want to be rude and stubborn at the same time, I never agree for her. Yeah, she called me to wear her mate. You know how it is when senior students are gathered, then they'll not call you. She wanted to slap me. I held her hand. I said, people should come. I went outside. I said, come out one by one. It was that bad. So I never allowed anybody to bully me. So,
this is the energy we need to be engaging the government, because I'm just listening to her. I'm like, you don't even look it. But now I understand why you do certain things you do. Everything makes sense now. It did not start today. It started from there. It started from way back when you were still a teenager. But it's important we reflect on this, because every one of us has some level of resilience, some spirit to fight, spirit to demand for change, to speak truth to power, and to demand for fairness and equity. Because when you ask for an equal distribution of roles in the house, that was you demanded for fairness and equity at home. And I'm hoping that each time we engage, we're looking within and drawing from within those things that we've always had as a tool or as our tools to engage government. So Quincy, we're over to your question.
Okay, my question is, there's been a critic that art raises consciousness, but there's no change in the policy. What do you have to say about that? Let me start from Hope.
That question is always weird every time I hear it. I think, what do we define change to be first?
Okay.
So is it that it has to be like a rewriting? Outside the fact that Nigerian is not really working, I think art basically creates change. If you go back to people like Nina Simone, when the Mississippi she did, when the leader was arrested and all those things, it literally created results. People came out to protest. People, even down to the NSAS thing that happened, it was Fowles, the bad guy, all those guys. They made ways that people came out to protest. But I think we just have a government that don't listen. So I don't think it does create change. And just even down to the psychology of how people think, how they show up. So you know now this is actually your rights. People don't even know they are right, but even music tell you, oh, this is to what extent I can exercise what I know. So I think the awareness, the change of mindsets, even the civic responsibility. I didn't even know that, political party was a thing till I started to become informed about it. So I think it does create change. It's just that we don't think change is change except it is drastic. Yeah. So yeah.
What about you?
I think art is very important for every civic movement. One thing it does well is create a civic sense in us. Now, when you guys were talking about your secondary schools, I was like, all these ones you guys were taught, I dare not. I went to a military school. That would be me choosing to die. But in a way, I would say what I noticed from being in that environment, because your environment affects you, is if I was aspiring to be a bully, to confess, not in the sense, not to steal anybody, because I still had a sense of, there's a way we can compartmentalize what's good and what's bad. So I never did steal, never did all of this. But you see, like, I could not wait to eat my juniors at that point. And I cannot believe that same person was me, this person. That was a space where the wickedness that 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds were meeting out on 10-year-olds was unimaginable. And if I can have that, if that could be okay in some sense. I'm not saying it was great when I was there, because there would be a way a senior would beat someone that I'd be like, this one, yeah, devil. We knew who. But in the whole sense of it, bullying did not seem very wrong to me then. And this is now me who cannot stand a bully. So your civic sense, it can change. And something that does that really well for us is art. You can hear about it. It changes your behavioral. I was saying something. I was like, all NGOs should stop what they are doing and focus on behavioral change in this country. It can cause some type of shift in the way that you think. Maybe the person will be hearing that for the first time. I'll tell you about this young artist. He's a poet, Willie Oyiba. He's Kenyan. So currently the way he does his, voter education, and this is why you have this podcast. Anyone can hear it and pick up the idea. He goes into buses. I think they call them matutus. And in their local dialect in Swahili, he tells people and they listen. You can see the shift in his videos from when they're not paying attention, like, who is this nuisance, to when he starts his poetry, to when they are engaged, to where his message enters. Now, if there are 10 Willie Oibas across Nigeria, that's hundreds of lives being changed. Receiving new information every day. People need to understand first that this is not okay. And I think a lot of Nigerians their reality has not been triggered that the kind of government we've been married to for a very long time is not normal. Yeah. This is not normal. No. And what art can do is to shift your sense from that place where the abnormal feels okay to where the abnormal is now weird and even unacceptable. So art is definitely important, and it can come in various ways. Another way I think is art can communicate policies to even policymakers in a way that a policy brief will not and cannot. People are moved by action, words, and all of that. You know, the same Willie guy I met, I'm not obsessed, by the way, but I was following his story because I've always been fascinated about art and democracy. In part of Tunani's object, there's using art to trigger, Tunani means to think. So I've always been fascinated. How can art really affect democracy? And there was a time a minister even tweeted that, all this, your emotions, this guy, he's just an emotional nuisance and all that. But he was one of the leaders of the 2024 finance bill protest.
In Kenya.
So look at what emotions did. His emotional followers followed him into the streets. So you do not know when art to make that big shift. But even before the big shift, it makes really great changes in the minds of people and creates civic sense in us.
Yeah, she talked about that big shift because there's something about, you could be, and you use music as an example. You can be down and you play an upbeat music and your mood is up.
Yeah.
Each time we go to the protest, you see how music is important because there's a way you're angry. When you hear NEPA, don't take light to generator one block man. Yeah, you not be angry, ginger. Just be ginger, like, you're marching, you're getting in. And I don't know why, for some reason I like that song. Each time I go to a protest, I'm waiting to hear that song because I think for me that song and so many others anyways, it gets me in the mood to say, okay, this is what we're fighting. This is why we're fighting, right? But beyond that, it's also, when you talk about poetry, I love poems, obviously, and then spoken word. There's something it can do. And I get the argument that, it doesn't change anything, but maybe like when you said, it's like we're looking for one kind of spontaneous, drastic change. But change is actually gradual. Yeah. And if we can even start getting the minds, changing the minds, the behavioral change you talked about, I think that would even be a lot more useful to us because once you, and I don't know if it's Thomas Sankara that talked about, you need a revolution of the mind.
India.
Once you achieve that, and that's what an art can do. Once you achieve that, you've built people that are ready to march. And so I'll throw it back to you, Amiru. We're looking at how young people engage online, right? Digital technology has made it easier for every one of us to engage and talk online. But do you think it has expanded democratic participation, especially for young people? Or do you think it's even obstructing or limiting how we take action? Because it seems like everyone just wants to be online, but we're not thinking about moving to the direct engagement. So what are your thoughts around it?
I think I have two thinkings about what that digital access has done for us. For me, there was a time in my early 20s, I was very loud on Twitter. And also, it gave me back depression. So, during elections, after we have finished fighting, punching, in fact, I think there was a time I fought with one of everybody's sons. Like, you cannot outmouth me on that Twitter that year. But these are instruments that create a very high sense of emotion that have their purpose, but don't always translate to results. And I think our government have become used to the fact that it's easy for them to ignore a lot of, they call it noise now. I wouldn't join them to call it noise because I feel however you choose to contribute to civic issues is very valid. But they are now also very trained at infiltrating the space with the kind of information they want. They have group chats where they trend issues. And then the best example will always be NSAS. We're together fighting for a common cause and all of a sudden the whole atmosphere became so ethnocentric and bigoted. And where did this happen from? It was a coordinated attack on the digital space. So I think one of the things that we're thinking about in Tunani currently is how can we use this digital access so that citizens can now influence policy. We don't see that Twitter is working quite well. We don't see that Instagram is working quite well. It's great for awareness. I think I love the work organizations like GIST are doing, archiving are doing, and all these organizations. It's great for awareness because you said in the beginning, knowledge is very important. I mean, they say knowledge is power, but how do we coordinate what we want in a way that it makes coherent sense to government, that we can now influence policy? I mean, look at this NYSC policy that we're all talking about now. The average Nigerian, according to me, will tell you that NYSC is not useful. Or why do you want to make people do 6 weeks of Said in NYSC? But to them is noise if you cannot prove it. Like if it does not make coherent sense to them. And if they want to do social listening, like I said, there's always bad data out there. We had this argument recently where somebody was saying that, her friend learned how to do bead making inside and he changed her life. And someone from the other side said, your friend could have easily learned that from YouTube. Now, somebody will hear that and they can video, next thing now, they can video a group of people whose lives have genuinely changed because of Said. But you think about it, is it really worth the hundreds of billions they will budget for it? What are the trades off in a country where education is what it is? So, we're currently in the process of thinking, and I invite other organizations, other people that care about citizens' voices in decision making to think with us on this. In Taiwan, they have this tool called V-Taiwan. It's a public consensus tool, and the young people are reshaping that tool. Now it's 100% volunteerism, although OpenAI has started to fund the next phase of what V-Taiwan is. And yesterday we saw a demonstration of how, although it's early stage policy influencing, but how people are able to impute their opinion. AI does the mapping, and then people's thoughts about a particular issue is now reduced into sensible topics that can now be debated upon by citizens in a town hall. So that's where more voices count. So there's a way tech is available now to make the difference. I mean, this AI tool is wonderful, and we can start leveraging it to make real change happen. Also continue the tweeting. Like I said earlier, continue the tweeting, continue the thing that they call noise. If not for anything, it's still creating some sense of civic awareness.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you want to share a thought on this before I come to Hope. Do you think that, from the point she's made, the digital space, how young people are using it? Do you think it's sustainable, especially if we're trying to push for real change in policy making and in the political space?
Well, I think the way young people are using the digital space now, I think it will be sustainable because more young people are now being aware and they're coming out. And if one platform is not working, try to find a way to, go to another platform and lend their voice. So they keep doing that. And I like the fact that just like the Olodo uprising, we've seen how young people they're just been trying to come in and lend their voice. And I like the debate around it because people will think that debate is something that they should not, maybe it's just something that is not
matters.
That doesn't matter, but it actually matters because from that debate, young people are lending their voice. And when they continue like that, you see that they'll just keep continuing.
And you can begin to identify if you're an Olodo so that you can begin shifting.
Yes.
So
from there now, they'll keep, talking and more awareness
would come from.
Yeah, will come from them.
I thought about this Olodo uprising. I will not enter this debate. I've been trying to avoid it for every reason. But I'll bring in Hope. You were part of the Nawiwi project team, which was supported by the Open Society Foundation, and you guys leveraged out for very interesting civic engagement. Can you tell us a bit about that, and why did you think it was important? And do you have any success stories from that so far?
So, when we were, talking about it in my team, I was like, we need, how people are like, let's go digital, let's go. I feel like sometimes we are not ready for this conversation. I'm like, the average woman in the market, even the way you're passing the information to her, she does not get it. And that was one of the reasons why I said, make we use Pigeon Runner.
Yeah. Now
So, so it was basically, let's at least reach people that we can reach. All this big grammar, putting, especially when we're in the NGO space, we're always saying democracy for whatever. Like, make it very easy for the common Nigerian to be able to hear, and understand. So that was why now we came like that. And we wanted to also get them young, because when you are like 25 and you've made up your mind about what you think about Nigeria, it's hard for you to, instill patriotism. So we're getting children at 6, 7 from primary school, because I thought about it. Civic education was not civic education. It was basically, I don't know what they're teaching us in civic education. They went down to they just mentioned several things that were not even the real issue. So it's like, if we get them young to think that Nigeria is actually good, because that's the problem. The problem we have is not even the fact that people don't think that Nigeria is a good country. There's no patriotism personally as individuals. So you can't just, if you think the country is rubbish, there's no way you can do better. So if you can get them young to feel that this is a big deal, this is my home, I need to protect it, I need to show up, then there will be some kind of change. So that's the idea. The whole goal is to also make it in different languages and all that. But that was the basic.
Do you have any success stories from that?
Yes, we do. The schools we visited, I personally went to a school. You know how funny it was? When I was in primary 5, I could not read. It was very, very bad. So all my siblings could read, and I didn't know what happened. I think I had a different way to learn. So I think right now I'm going to have ADHD, but it was more like the pattern they wanted me to learn was difficult.
Was not working for you.
So they used to always laugh at me and all that. And funny how the particular school I went to, that was the school that a teacher took her time and picked me out of the crowd and whatever. And when I went there and I shared it, students even wanted my numbers to speak to me, and they still call me and be like, they want to do this in their school about, and I'm like, I'm impressed. Like, even if it was 2 students, that's drive, that's the idea. People always think about 100, but that one person will be like, I want to do this. Even the head girls now, like, we are making small clubs so that people learn about civic, and they're excited about the book. So that for me is exciting. From one person you can get 100.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's almost like you went back to one of the places that a teacher saw the value and saw the potential in you and understood you needed to learn differently.
Yes.
But when she talked about the head girl reaching out to you, and you have the students setting up clubs for civic education, that is beautiful change. That's a story that is yet to even produce the kind of fruits we've not even envisioned, because these clubs, these kids who start learning about that, by the time they get old enough to vote or participate, they are already very informed and aware, because now they are just going to be getting into the practice. So the theories they've had, they will now be putting it into practice. That was one of the things I loved about the Nawiwi, because the fact you were looking at, how do we get younger? How do we get the kids, the teenagers? How do we get them interested in this? But you said something about 25-year-olds, they've made up their mind. Are you saying 25-year-olds and above cannot change their position?
They can't change their position. But I think when your mind is already formed on what you think about a situation, it's very hard to change it. Because we always feel like this country no go really work. That's what you hear from the average Nigeria. This country no go really work. But when you already can see, if you tell them this actually belongs to you, if you treat this gutter badly, you are going to live here for a long time. Even if you think you want to run away, you cannot carry your entire family in. That's acceptance of the fact that this environment I live in, I'm going to be here for a long time. Give them a sense of responsibility to do better. And it forms their mind. Then their mind you're still giving them information. But when somebody has already formed the idea they have about something, it's really hard to actually change it. But it can change, but it's difficult.
Okay, Mayro, you lead an organization, and we've seen you feature in panels. And also you highlighted your interest in being a part of the leadership organization for, I think, of the Youth Democracy
Network.
What has been your drive, and why should women, young women in particular, be involved in it?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
And it's an open question first. I just don't want to lose my train of thoughts because I think it's something that is very central to our conversation. You were talking about sense of responsibility and civic responsibility. I have an organization, so I've come to understand that sense of responsibility comes from ownership, shared ownership of the vision,
Yes.
And I 100% agree with you. We're not patriotic. Me, I didn't even know that priests carry their flags around until I started traveling outside this country. I said, what's this flag doing in your house? Yeah. We're not... Yeah. They are so proud of... I don't have anything with green, white, green. I love Nigeria. So, you don't have to answer now. I just want to ask, how do we trigger a sense of ownership for Nigeria as citizens? And that's something that I don't have the answer to, but I'll leave the question. So, get back to it.
Do you have an answer for this?
I think I have I could chip in. First of all, I think, like I said, I always think about grassroots, like from the basic, like half of people just know the diagram of coat of arms, but they don't even know what it symbolizes. Yeah. So even me now, I'm trying to remember it. I know it, but now I'm trying to remember what is it peace, joy, peace and justice and whatever. Like there's no one thing we stand for. Like you know how when we are fighting for, if you just drag Nigeria on Twitter, maybe the whole Nigerians will show up, but we don't have one.
What's our value? Our common value.
Core value.
Yes. Is this something that we hold dearly? Oh, we are like resilient people. Maybe a word or something.
Jollof rice.
Chickens. Can you imagine? So that's how crazy it is. You have something that we hold, and every tribe knows that. No, Nigeria, we are like maybe excellent. Maybe there's a word, and that is inculcated in everybody that everybody's Nigerians are excellent. That is like a starting point. But we don't have one core value that we hold dearly as Nigeria. We just have random things. Nigeria, no, they carry last. But we don't have something like that.
That's why accountability is difficult. Because if it's not our Nigeria, if it's not our resources, it's government resources. If we separate ourselves from the government, there's no ownership for Nigeria or even its resources. So, I don't have an answer to that. But I think your contribution is brilliant.
From what you said that we don't have ownership, I think most times it's just that Nigerians, we are always on the surviving mode. I think our first episode, there's this your question, there's this thing we talked about owning your power as citizens. And we discussed about how Nigerians should recognize that they have power as the citizens of Nigeria and owning it. And we got to see that most Nigerians don't even know that they have power. And that's where the problem comes from. And it all still boils down to creating awareness.
Yeah. You know, when you talked about how you move around, people wearing a flag, it's just, you see people with the flag of their country in their house.
Jealous of it.
Yes, you'd be like, this is not a government establishment. It's a personal home.
Yeah.
You have those who have like the wrist beads with their national flags or national colors. And they wear it proudly.
I'm wearing that of Kenya.
I know, because if you go to Kenya, you can't help but
they will give it to you. I didn't buy it. Like if you meet them, they would just.
No, I've not told you people. I want to go to.
They would always. They want to give you their Kenya.
They want to give it to you. Kenyans love their country. You have no other option than, because I also have one.
Yeah.
Right.
I do.
Senegal also. Almost every country go, you will see they make that. I'm not going to say that each time I go to the market, I've hardly seen these beads with green, white, green. But I collect from different continents. So and I said, this is what we don't have, that sense of ownership. But I do think we have some level of an idea of what our values are, but we've not articulated it. When we say Nigeria don't carry last, I think for me, it shows that one thing we care about is excellence and resilience, right? Because there's this sense of, if you go somewhere, you must show up. You must be the best. Even when you go to school somewhere, you're like, I'm Nigerian, I cannot fall handle. You know, my family, they're looking up to my generation. I cannot, there's that thing of wanting to be the best when you show up with other people. I feel like we have that, but we've not articulated that. And that sense of what is our value, what are our values. You know, when the first episode, the Kenyan lady actually asked us what was one thing Nigerians fight for, because for them, freedom. So which is why they would once there's a need, they will march to the streets.
Yeah.
And all of us are thinking, so now I think Nigerians care about security now because of the level of insecurity. But we need to actually articulate that, you know. But thanks for answering that question. This is where it begins. What is that thing we care about as Nigerians so that we can all take ownership of the country? But there was a question for you.
Yes.
So now you can.
Back to my question.
Yes.
Come and catch me. As you can see, I like the sound of my voice.
No, it's good.
I do care. I do care that our voices matter. And here's the thing. I'm one person that sees Nigeria as our Nigeria, you know.
Yes,
I'm not going to thank anyone for vying for leadership and being the president or this or that, because we have a shared ownership of this country. You're not more Nigerian than me. So if you have more benefits in this country than me, well, so good, but that doesn't make me lesser than you in terms of ownership of the country. And so for us at Tsunami, okay, in 2022, I did this project called Let's Vote Naija with a couple of a volunteer group like co-conveners, and it was that I went to one community after Apple, and they didn't have network, they didn't even have schools, you know, they were still struggling in one borehole like that, and they did not have access to vote, and they couldn't register. They couldn't go all the way to INEC office to register. And so we spoke to INEC, and I just want this to be a point that it's not as difficult as you think to bridge the gap and push more people into civic participation. Because when we did that, we're just individuals. I was just Miro. There was no organization behind us. So we went to INEC, spoke to INEC, and they listened, thankfully, and we're able to bring voter registration closer to these particular individuals that I speak about. So we found the nearest point with network, which was Apple Primary School, and we did something. And many members of that community were able to register to vote. This was in 2022. But I think as a person and as an organization, we have evolved. The vote is very important, and most times your civic participation is ignited by the vote. You know, election time, there are a lot of people saying register to vote, register to vote. And the first time you cast your vote, you feel more of a sense of ownership in this government in a way. And I'll just throw this out there. Whether you vote or whether you don't vote, it's still a decision.
Yes.
It's a decision to own your power or to give your power away. But they are both decisions. I don't like the way we sell non-voting as passiveness. This is not passive. It's a very active decision. So that said, so basically, formed Tsunami because we care about critical thinking. We need to be able to engage with things in a way that is not always simplistic. I think Nigerians like black and white too much. And sometimes we can be polarized. It's almost like if it's APC, it's black. It's so terrible. It's horrible. But yeah, there's a space between polarization that leaves room for critical thinking to be able to engage people and policies and be able to include your voice. So that's where Tsunami stands. And that's where we bring in citizens to stand. So how can citizens contribute to government decision making? A lot of times, and this is something I said in my YDN campaign, a lot of times leadership is one person's idea. But even if it was a private institution, nobody builds anything alone.
Yes.
And that's why shared vision is important. So for me, I see leadership as a collective, there's space for consensus in democracy. Yes, given we are over 200 million in this country, so consensus will be very, very hard. But there's a space for every idea. And why not collect these ideas and make something of it that makes sense to everybody? That's every citizen. So collect ideas, reach consensus, let decisions be triggered by what citizens want.
Yeah.
And that way, people will not feel less Nigerian, or even if the decision is not always best for them, but there would have been a fair participation. There was a fair room for their voice. And that's the kind of work that we're doing and we want to continue doing for the next till whenever. So that's always my approach to leadership, and that's why I'm vying for a spot on the council. By now they should have announced they've announced results. So
Did you win?
I don't know, I've not checked. After.
Okay. Thank you so much. You know, you when you were talking, I was following you because you said sometimes it's not so difficult to bridge the gap. You see, you saw a need, you worked with a team, and the people in that community got to participate.
Yeah.
That for me is real change. You know, most times we are not looking for the big, I think you mentioned that it doesn't have to be drastic. It could even begin with just mindset shift, like the high school kids who now want to start up clubs or civic education. And when you talk about there's no one that is self-made. It's a collective thing. I think Trevor Noah, I was watching an interview and he said no one is self-made because no one did anything alone. You worked with people. You may have been the person with the vision, but for that vision to have been actualized, you worked with people. Even if you make references to our religion, Prophet Muhammad wouldn't have done it alone. Jesus wouldn't have done it alone. There's a reason why before he started his ministry, he had to go and get because he knew I can't do this alone. But everyone that came from the mission, they did not say, making reference to Christian religion because I'm Christian, so I can make more reference to that. They don't say, oh, Jesus, because it's your vision. Peter will say, I'm not interested in this work. What do you call him? John will say, this is not my problem. They bought into the vision. Yeah. And the reason why you talk about Christianity across different part of the country, because some people bought into the vision and they ran with it. When even if it wasn't their vision at first. And I think this is what we need, that spirit we need to imbibe as Nigerians. That if we all have that sense of shared purpose, then we would start seeing how each of us contributes to the nation. And then I'm trying to bring this all together. We talked about this conversation is about rhymes and readings, how citizens show up. And this is a question for everyone. I'll start with Hope anyways. Let's talk about the Nigeria we think about. So if you think about Nigeria in 10 years time, you want to paint a picture. What do you think young people need to start doing now? How do we need to start showing up in different ways, different forms to paint the Nigeria of 10 years time? What kind of Nigeria do you think would have in 10 years time if we show up differently?
Okay, I think I'll first start with this statement about how, like, as a believer, faith without works is dead.
Yes.
It's how you keep speaking about something and not literally taking action. Just like when I was in secondary school, we have this quote in my school. I think every FGGC Abaji girl has this quote.
Where's FGGC Abaji?
Yes. You cannot pass a debt. You cannot even drop a debt on the road. It was instilled in us. We had a logo, pick as you go, to keep FGC Abaji clean. So even till now, wherever I go, even if I eat anything and I don't say trash, it's going home with me. There's a way point to enforce it. So if you say, I want Nigeria to be better, and we don't join stuff like what they have, round table conversations when they're trying to create a bill, you are not part of it. We can't keep talking about this and not getting involved in it. So if we want this change that we want, people need to start getting involved. Like, there's an election coming up. Like, get votes. Like she said, being on the fence is a decision, and you are literally giving it away. Like, you have been actively deciding that you want to kill us, and we need to take you out.
Before you kill us.
Like, it's that serious. So if we want Nigeria to really shift, it has to be like you not throwing dirty in the gutter, because you cannot eat in your house and throw the water you wash your hand inside the center of your parlor. Just like how you are driving past Abuja and you eat corn, whatever it is, and you throw it through the window. This is the little things we do that shows that we are very irresponsible. Like, if we all can just say, I sweep the front of my house and literally put it well, instead of just when it's falling and you pour it in the gutter. You don't care about Nigeria. We think we care, but these are every time I'm in the car, if you want to piss me off, just throw something. I literally will have to give you like a 30 minutes lecture of why you're destroying the
Thank
country.
you.
Yes.
So I think
That's
if we can,
important.
these little things you are doing, like you see somebody on the road that is literally in need of help, that you can render without the whole complication of we have a police report, you can literally help somebody. You'll be like, it's not your business. That's these little things. You can literally change Nigeria.
Yeah, Miro.
I think I love your points. I would say start by watching the news. Watch that NTA that you don't like. It's not visually nice, but watch it. Sometimes we'll sit in our comforts and say, "Oh, government not doing anything. This has not happened." Whereas government is doing I would say fake invitation, because they are putting information out there in a way that they'll say, have put the information, no, but not necessarily in a way that it will reach you. So you have to be deliberate about being informed so that you're not also left behind. Like you said, being part of bills, apparently, every public hearing, they must announce it.
Yes.
They must publish it. But, they are not doing it in a way that us will know.
He says boring stuff.
Please actively seek these things out. And it starts by
Participate in
watching.
public hearing.
Yes. And it starts by watching the news to even know where you can fit in.
Yeah.
It might make you angry, but that anger should make you want to change something. Secondly, I think as Nigerians, young or old, we should start taking communities very seriously. Not just party, jaye communities, but we can mix the two. Another thing I learned from yesterday, you missed that program.
Oh, what?
So what young people in Taiwan are currently doing is Taiwan is no longer just a tool, just a process. It's also a community. When you're what's the African proverb, when you want to go far, you go.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Together with people. Yeah.
You want to go far.
So making change is so great as a community. And I think one way that we are missing it a bit is that people want to be champions so much.
Yes, heroes. They want to be.
You want to be a champion so much, and we can't go far that way.
Yes.
It's not all of us that will get the credit at the end of the day. There are people, sorry for this example, but there might even be people doing more work than Yaga. But they don't have the visibility. But the work that those people are doing is really important. Truly, some might without being heroes for the amount of work they are doing, but what do you want at the end of the day? So let's care more about the cause. Let's care more about making our countries better. You're not going to be the star of the show. If you're in a community, do your best to see that you can steer that community towards some sort of positive change, whether or not you are a star.
So I think for me, I just like the points both of you made, but young people, especially in Nigeria, they have to be intentional about everything they do when it comes to politics. They have to be intentional about wanting to even watch. Because you mentioned watch NTA. They have to be intentional about watching it. They have to be intentional about not just scrolling your phone. When you see political news, you you just look for the next gossip.
That one is not my business.
So I think we have to be intentional about everything we do, especially when it comes to policy and democratic processes in Nigeria. My last question would be, if there's one civic habit that every Nigerian should have or should adopt, what that will help to change the nation, what do you think it will be and why?
I think the couple of them, but one would be like non-apathy, like to anything, not just even like voting. Like when you see something going wrong in society, not my business. That not my business thing pinches me so badly.
Like, we should get rid of it. Cleanse it from
Cleanse it, please. It's your business.
It's your business.
You see them beating up a woman by the road. It's your business. Like, is that serious? Like, I hate it when people say it's not my business. You just keep passing. I remember one time I was harassed and people were just passing and going. And I'm like, should I pack my load? Why did God bring me to this country? Like, and I was dressed up when I was at the junction, and this guy literally came and touched my bum. Like, I was talking, he was like, he said he was going to touch my breast next. And men would say, just be going, That day, I said, I was so pissed off. That's how bad it is. People just pass when they can literally help and say it's not their business. It's your business. And one of the things about patriotism is that regardless of, sometimes we don't know, but one of the things about patriotism around the world is that you're not always thinking about the outcome. People are not ready to die for anything or be harmed. But sometimes when you show, heart to something, it can have a repercussion, have an effect. Maybe because we are too self-centered and no community. That's why we think that we shouldn't show up in certain ways. But sometimes there will be repercussions when you actually assist. But that's what patriotism is. That's what showing up is. We don't want anything to stain us, but it has to stain. When you stand for that child being harassed, like in my compound now, there was a time where children were coming in and there were men around and they constantly, don't enter that man's room. Like, be that person that stands, like, you cannot go home. Oh yeah, mommy is looking for you. Because I don't want to hear, because we're in a very evil society, I don't want to hear that something is happening to a child. Why are you entering this uncle's room? You are 6 years old, looking for sweets. I don't want to know what it is, but as a citizen, I am responsible that you are passing here and I'm not saying, nothing concern as mother no great take care of their pikin. They kind of made a waka about. No. So these are the little things that you protect that child regardless. Like I was so shocked one day we were having a conversation in my compound and the man said, 15 years old is not so young. I was in the room, I was just thinking like, she's already big. If she come to me, I'll come reject her. I was livid because I'm like, how can you say a 15 years old is not that they are matured? We have people that think like that. So I'm like, okay, since we now know now, I'm close to calling the police anytime I see you with a 15-year-old. So that's like my personal responsibility.
Yeah.
I would report you.
Yeah.
There's nothing to add. Just be an active bystander.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you said. And this one is not a habit, but my message to Nigerians, stop the psychophancy. Please, just stop. Let's stop it.
Stop the psychophancy.
Yeah, let's stop. Which accountability can we chase when everybody is worshipping the elected instead of holding them accountable? So I'm with you. Just be an active bystander.
Stop the psychophancy because we cannot hold people accountable. We cannot get quality leadership if what we do is when someone gets elected, we start to double, we say, now you. After no one else. That attitude cannot take us anywhere. So, and then this whole non-apathy, the fact that we need to just care. Yeah. You can't say it's not my business. You see people beating someone up, ask a question. You see people trying to throw trash. That's the reason we even deal with a lot of overflowing. Yes, there's poor management when it comes to infrastructure, but also sometimes we contribute to that because we don't dispose our refuse well. And so when you see that guy in the car that wants to throw, say, brother, keep it inside. Don't throw it out of the window. Sister, keep it inside. Don't those simple things. Yeah. And I love the part you talked about. Not voting is active decision. Yeah. Because even when you're not voting, you are still voting. Yes. Yeah. And I always tell people that elections are determined by those who turn out to vote and by those who don't.
Yeah.
Because you're not coming out, it's still writing the result.
Yes.
So at the end of it all, you're claiming you're not participating because you're angry, but then you're actually still participating. And I think these have just been very brilliant conversations. And I really, really appreciate both of you for taking out your time to be part of this conversation today. Thank you so much, Miro Ibrahim.
Thank you.
Today I found out that Tunani is a Hausa word for critical thinking. Yeah. So I'm going to be using, when I see someone talking rubbish somewhere, I say, guy, Tunani, think critically. Am I pronouncing it well? Yeah. And Hope Abba, I follow your work on social media, your arts. Thank you so much for being a voice and for inspiring other young people and taking action. Please, that man that said, please, the way
I'm very close.
Yes.
Immediately I see one young girl, just couple.
Because we need to protect women and girls a lot more. Yeah. And that affects even quality of citizenship. Yeah. Because if you feel that the society did not protect you from harm, how would you feel connected to that society? And it's a call for every one of us here. Let's protect our women and girls better. For those guys, men, underage is underage. Minor is minor. Please. Let's just know that. Let's know what it is. It's a question now to every one of us listening and watching. What is one civic habit you will commit to that you will take on from now so that the Nigeria of 10 years time to come will be a Nigeria that we would all be proud of?
Yeah.
Or the country, because you could be a non-Nigerian listening. Drop your country in the comment section. What's that one habit you want to adopt that can contribute to nation building from or within your own country? Today we talked about rhymes and readings of democracy. Democracy is not an event. There is a reading to it. And our ability to use our several tools and instruments makes democracy beautiful. We see why. Shout out to our, to our audience.
Thanks to you who watch and listen. Don't forget, this season is all about Unmute Africa, loud and unfiltered. And also don't forget to click that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. And also follow us on all our social media handle at the Unamplified Podcast.
Yes, thank you. Usually, ladies, we end with a toast to Africa. So everyone hold this. So when you're on,
You're amplified.
Cheers to Africa. Africa is great.
Cheers.